Hi everyone, my name is Ileana Rodriguez and this is my final project presentation. For my final project, I chose a structural change within an organization as the thing that we are going to change manage and create a communication plan for. So I'm going to go over what that plan would be. In this presentation, we're going to cover what the change is, a SWOT analysis review, and then we're going to get into the communication plan. So laying the foundation, who your key players are going to be, what the key elements of that communication plan need to really have a foundation in, and what continuous improvement is going to look like. So let's start with what the change is. So within this organization, there are similar positions throughout various divisions. So for example, you would have one sales division having 2 project managers on staff, a communications coordinator, and an operations department. And you would also have the retail-facing division having very similar roles within their division as a whole. So also having maybe 3 project managers on staff and 2 communication coordinators. The change here and the change to structure would be getting rid of these divisions and creating centers of excellence for similar positions. So you would have a center of excellence for project management where all project managers would report up to the same leader and all have dotted lines back to their original divisions. So they would still work on the same types of projects, but they would all be in this centralized hub or a center of excellence. Same thing for communications managers, coordinators. For anyone who works in operations, they would now live under this project management center of excellence, communications center of excellence, etc. So why would this change be needed? This company has grown exponentially over the last 2 years. They have brought on new employees that bring new insights and efficiency ideas. They also have a variety of tenured employees within these roles who have a lot of structural knowledge and procedural knowledge where it would be beneficial to have both groups really come together and be able to share knowledge and create better efficiencies. It would also allow for standardized KPIs and training for people performing very similar roles. Weaknesses and threats I grouped together here just for the sake of time. During a change, there can be a feeling of unease and anxiety, and it can lead to reduced productivity and, if not managed appropriately, to turnover. In this type of change, when you are looking at structure and an organization's reporting lines, sometimes there can be an unclear sense of who the leader is. And so that would be something that would need to be mitigated during the actual implementation. As far as opportunities, a clear and defined structure can appeal to future candidates, especially if the company continues to grow at the rate that it has. They're going to want to appeal to future candidates. That continued growth also is going to require efficient workflows. Having that as your foundation can then lead to a better work-life balance for your employees, and that also then in turn leads to retention. And it's also an opportunity for leadership to really make this a win. Having an increased feeling of autonomy grow within your employee base comes from giving them the opportunity to be part of the change, to feel like they have the ability to give feedback on the change. And this is our chance to do that. So what is the communication plan? So 3 to 6 months prior, we would have leadership begin to lay the foundation for the change. So this would come through live streams or all hands meetings, and really it would be almost hints at a change. So we would make sure that we frame any future change or any opportunity to change as something exciting, something that we now have the privilege of being able to do because of the way that we've grown and because of the work that our tenured employees have put in ahead of time. It doesn't mean that we would necessarily announce the change, but this is really just laying the groundwork for what the feeling around change will be as a whole. So as we're working on the implementation plan, we do want to identify change champions. So these are going to be employees who are going to have early buy-in on the change, and be able to speak to the change in a positive way with their peers and with the other departments or divisions that they work with. We would provide speaking points to the leaders who would be identifying and working with these change champions to get them involved. It would be an opportunity for us to pilot the communication and collect feedback on what works and doesn't work before we roll it out to a larger population. This would be something we'd want to do 1 to 2 months prior to implementation. And after we identify those change champions and have those conversations, we would want to provide speaking points so that when they do meet resistance during the change process, they are able to speak to it in a way that makes them feel comfortable. From there, we would have the trickle down of communication to everyone else. So you would want to make sure that the employees who are affected are the first ones to know. They should have a more private conversation than, for example, a live stream or an all hands meeting. We want to make sure that there is an open line for communication and feedback, and make them feel included in the change. When communicating this, we want to focus on what does this mean for me? Because as a listener to a very sometimes scary conversation, that is what you are listening for. What does this mean for me in my role, in my position, or whatever it might be? So from there, we would provide reasons and acknowledge any potential weaknesses and how we plan to mitigate it. And that will help ease any anxiety that comes from this. And we also want to reassure and thank our employees, really make sure that they leave the conversation in a good place and that they feel that this change is an opportunity and not so much a repercussion of anything negative that may have happened. So for affected employees, we would want to make sure that that happens 2 weeks prior, and for all company, we would roll that out the following week. After the implementation of the change, we want to make sure that we're providing timely progress updates during and after. So this would be ways to say, hey, here is how the change is coming along. Here's where we're at in the implementation process. And at the same time, celebrating any wins that may have come from that. We can make this a win for the company, a win for the affected employees, and really take it as an opportunity to change the narrative, right, into something really, really good. And so you always want to make sure that we thank everyone and for their grace during the change, and also continue to ask for feedback. Nothing is going to be perfect, and we want to make sure that we share that we want to continuously improve right alongside our employees. And so lastly, I'll leave you with this quote. So the role of a leader is to define reality and give hope. This is a great quote that can help drive your communication focus as you are speaking to your other leaders, line managers, employees. Truly, it is what the purpose of your communication is. Timely, goal-oriented, and people-centered communication is going to be an essential part of any change management. And working closely together as we plan and pivot our strategy is going to lead us to success. And that's it.